From the east of spring's awakening breezes, to the south of summer's passionate heat, to the west of autumn's purifying waters, to the north of winter's regenerative earth, I open this reading by invoking the Muse. O divine Posy, goddess, daughter of Zeus, sustain for us these messages of inspiration. Make this reading live for us in all of its many bearings, O Muse. Hello, beautiful muses, and welcome to your October month ahead reading. Like usual, I've got 4 different I-Ching cards sort of representing the environment of overall of November. We don't know what other cards, I haven't even drawn what's going to come out on top of these, so try to feel more into what's drawing you in rather than kind of what you want based on like a theme, because even the card itself sometimes when you get into its meaning doesn't actually say what you would think it would say. So try to steer away from picking mutual attraction because you feel like that might have something romantic about it and that's what you wish for, that type of thing. Just try to feel into which pile, which card you think has or that you're feeling drawn to as having a message to you. Okay, so pile 1, we've got card 21 or hexagram 21, cutting through, fire above, thunder below. Pile 2, we've got Innocence, 25th hexagram, and sky above, thunder below. Okay, pile 3, we've got the 61st hexagram, centering in truth, wind above, lake below. And then pile 4, we've got 31, mutual attraction, lake above, mountain below. So one quick note before we dive into the breath work is I am switching up a little bit. If you've already been watching my monthly readings, I'm switching up a little bit how I'm doing it. I'm still going to do kind of like the 4 cardinal directions of life, but I'm really minimizing those. I'm just drawing, I picked a deck that I thought really represented each direction very well, and I'm just going to do 1 card for those and make it quick and really focus on the overall thing that we typically do, and then those quick kind of anchor points of the directions, and then I'm going to do some tarot to look into sort of the central event, central occurrence, central circumstance of the month that really wants your attention and is really going to be important. Also, be sure to not skip directly to your pile, because I am also doing, like usual, the mini astro readings, and this one is by sun sign, so whatever sun sign you are, there's timestamps below and you can skip straight to yours, and it's just like a mini 2-minute read of kind of a central theme for your sun sign, to layer in with whichever pile you choose for the month, which just gives your reading a little extra uniqueness and individuation from just the 4 piles. So all this being said, we're to the breath work. If you have your own process for picking or already feel which one yours is, you can move along. But if you like the breath work, we'll do that now. So take a deep breath in, hold at the top in the space between your brows, the 3rd eye, suck in a little more to add pressure there. And then with it out loud, exhale. and this opens up your crown chakra, inviting in inspiration and higher self, higher guidance. So if you need to do a few more of those, feel free to pause here, or if you have found you're drawn to your pile, you can skip to your little astro reading and then to your pile. All right, I will see you guys in your readings. Hello and welcome to the mini astro readings by sun sign. I'm going to start with Aries. All right, let's pick your animal for the month of November for Aries. Black egg, beautiful. There's something ready to be expressed in your life that you want to really open up your throat area and be courageous about it. To me, this throat chakra indicates you already have something either important to say or a creative expression that needs to be sort of voiced, and the throat chakra is the work of unlocking the door to let it out to the world, to find a way to express it, to find a way to connect and move that important thing or creative thing out into the world. Okay, let's see what planet wants to speak to you. Mars. This is really connected to passion within you, potentially even anger for some of you. Sometimes, you know, those two things are very related, and it's something that will really help to put something in your life into forward momentum, forward action. This is your ruling planet, so it should be a comfortable planet to connect to, and really wants to get you moving the way that you like to move. Okay, and an inner compass card for Aries. Small signs. Yeah, so really pay attention to little synchronicities, little messages coming your way. I think those will help you to understand the keys you need and the order you need in to bring that ability forward to unleash and let out whatever expression is ready to really swiftly move out into the world. Okay, next up we've got Taurus. This is your guys' mini astro read for November. I'm going to pick an animal for you guys. Oops. Earthworm. That actually feels very appropriate for Taurus energy. There's something that you're down, recycling, nurturing, really creating fertile grounds for, which makes a lot of sense because most of November your sun sign is kind of down in the roots of things. It's where we're going to have our full moon for the season, is in your sign, which shows where we're down in the roots of things, unable to see, but really using our intuition and our instinct to move and create fertile grounds and deepen. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, let's see what planet wants to speak to you guys. Oops. So the North Node, something also makes a lot of sense. This is crazy because the North Node is in your sign, which is why you're having an eclipse. A full moon, it's actually a lunar eclipse. It's not just a full moon. And it's because the North Node is in your sign, so the full moon is aligning with this North Node placement. And so this thing that you're really using your intuition about, that you're deepening into feeling, using intuition around, has to do with a new start in your life. a new beginning, a fresh slate, a new life cycle of something, which is so accurate because the earthworm isn't just down in the roots of things, but it's like a spring. You know, I really associate worms with that spring energy. They're newly kind of aerating and fertilizing and recycling the soils to help that new growth get the right kind of consistency and nourishment in the soils that it needs. So really accurate in terms of the astrological outlook. And trust. Yeah, I think that's so important, because when we're in this place of really having to use our intuition, we can feel a lot of insecurity and questions around things. And this is just like a confirmation of like, trust your intuition, you're on the right path. Things may feel a little insecure at the moment, but insecurity has to do with the fact that growth is about to come on, and you just need to deepen in order to stabilize and strengthen what fruitfulness is about to come into life. So yeah, big message for you guys. Trust. Okay. Gemini, this is going to be your November mini reading. Let's pick an animal for you guys. Ooh, saw that unicorn, beautiful. This is third eye opening, purity, innocence, really feeling connected to spirit, really connected to inspiration and protection. I'm feeling something about protection, which actually seeing this kind of lunar thing, but it's not just a moon, it's almost like this prismatic colored moon. There's like a lot of, which with that prismatic separation of white light into colors, I feel there's a very spiritual connection to that. And that's what I'm feeling with that moon in the background, is that there's some spiritual protection around you guys, and to really tap into any visions that come to you, downloads, insights. Yeah, it's some real clarity is coming through for you guys. Okay, let's see what planet wants to speak to you. The moon, beautiful. So trust your intuition deeply. You know, third eye, which this unicorn in this deck really represents, has a lot to do with developing and trusting and getting in touch with intuition. So there are things, yeah, intuitive hits coming that should bring you clarity, and it's just about really trusting those and trusting your intuition. It's a hard thing to do sometimes. Certain things may not make sense in the kind of logical seen realm, but really trust yourself and any intuitions and clarity that come your way. Okay, and compass card, purity. Yeah, clarity, purifying your path, really getting a good download, intuitive hit, vision of where you're going, and purifying the way forward for you guys into something that's important. All right, beautiful, Gemini. Okay, next up we've got Cancer. Let's pick an animal for your November. Frog. Some sort of rejuvenation is coming through. It's a month to really, kind of take a little bit of a step back, put yourself by water, go into a phase of a little bit more dreaminess and allowing things to roll off your back, surrender, letting things go, fluidity, and feelings as you do that of kind of rebirth and like rejuvenation and freshness will come out of that. Okay, let's see what planet wants to speak to you. Mercury. So also listen for information, messages coming through that you may get more clearly by putting yourself around water, that may integrate and assimilate within you the more you create a certain sort of flow and relaxation around you. That's sort of what I'm feeling, is like the more relaxed you can get and the more you can put yourself around water or just a sense of fluidity, certain information I think that you might already have or still pay attention to things coming in will just assimilate better. They'll flow through you better if you can be fluid. The information that you have and that's coming in will feel fluid and better assimilated. Okay, let's get an inner compass card for you. Transformation. Yeah, I do feel a huge sense of this rejuvenation, transformation. You really need to give yourself some breathing room, some relaxation as you go through some kind of metamorphosis. And I'm feeling much more that Mercury is representing for the most part, information you already have that's just really needing to assimilate and kind of be understood on almost that kinesthetic level in your body. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling, is there's the information is there. I think there's also information to be had that may be coming your way about how to relax and how to rejuvenate and allow metamorphosis just to happen. There's nothing you need to do other than surrender into it. So if you need more information about how to allow yourself to do that or get into that groove, then there is information for you to be had. But I think there's a lot of information within you that is part of this transformation that's assimilating, which is sort of changing your understanding of yourself and the world, which then kind of changes you and the world around you. So a lot of internal processing going on, I feel like, for you guys. So give yourself a break this month. All right. Next up, we have Leo. Leo, this is your guys' November mini astro reading. Let's pick an animal for you guys. Oops. Beautiful cosmic egg. A lot of dreaminess around you guys this month. Beautiful like downloads or just insight and inspiration coming through, a real sense of fluidity with life and surrender into life and feeling protected. And there may be something that you are protecting as well that's sort of in incubation and in a mystical phase within itself that you know is coming together, but you're just needing to kind of protect it and nourish it and nurture it. Really beautiful. So something really special coming, at least coming together this month. It may be December when it actually kind of cracks open and is more visible in your seen world, but I think you understand there's something you're really protecting this month. Okay, let's see what planet has a message for you about this. Wow, North Node coming through a lot, which makes sense because we're having a full moon eclipse due to the North Node in November. So yeah, and that makes sense also with this cosmic egg, is like a really, you're very connected to whatever fresh new thing this North Node energy is trying to push through this month. And yeah, it's a new life cycle is about to come through. It just needs a little bit more time in incubation, but you're really getting a sense of a shape of something and what it is you're protecting. So if you have if that hits for you, like there's something new and really fresh and exciting coming through, but it's not quite ready, like, yeah, really create some protection around that and some really beautiful nourishment around it to help feed it and get it growing and organized and shaped and, you know, all that. Okay, let's pick an inner compass card for you guys. Ooh, you got 2. Step by step and authenticity. Yeah, step by step. It's coming, whatever it is. Like, don't be impatient. That's what I'm feeling this month. That North Node can have that feeling of impulsivity. And this is saying, use restraint. It's not quite ready. It's really close. Restraint, step by step. Make plans. Create fertile conditions. And whatever is coming through is deeply connected to your authenticity, which I also has a deep relation to that North Node. It's something very personal, something very authentic, individuated. So really create some solo time too, to really get in touch with your own energy without other influences around it, to deeply tune into what in your authenticity is incubating this thing this month. All right, beautiful, Leo. Okay, next up we've got Virgo. Virgo, this is your mini reading for November, and let's pick an animal for you guys. That one wanted to come out. Elk. Beautiful, sort of the way shower, a certain strength, a certain authority, a certain yeah, I'm just feeling like mastery, authority, strength of character, something, you know, someone people are going to be looking to and looking up to and wanting to follow this month. So yeah, that's a, you know, really profound message for you guys. Let's see what planet wants to add to this. Oh my gosh, North Node again. It has come up for 3 so far of the 6 signs I've done, which is so crazy because we're having a full moon lunar eclipse on due to the North Node, which is all about a fresh new start. So there may be something for you in this new start, in this fresh impulse, in a new life cycle coming through that is really connected to you being an authority, being a master of something, being a leader, having a strength of character. Really cool. All right, let's see what inner compass card wants to speak to this, give some guidance. Intention. Beautiful. You know, and on this particular, in this deck, the elk looks like it's very connected maybe to a new moon, which is all about setting intentions. And so look to the new moon of November. That's going to be a very significant moon, which I think will actually be in Sagittarius rather than at the very start of the month, and we will have already had the November, or a new moon coming into November on Scorpio, so it'll be later in the month. There will be a Sagittarius new moon. But I do want to say, if it connects to you, just because there's this nodal thing, which I feel that being very connected to these eclipses, I think both new moons are going to be important. So the new moon that will have likely happened before I put this up, I think it's on the 25th of October. Yeah, which for me is in like 2 days, so I doubt this will be up yet. But look back at the 25th and the days surrounding that. That could be very important, but also look at the moon near the end of November. I don't have the exact date, but just knowing how far apart they happen, it's likely like the 23rd of November maybe-ish. I think the period in between those is going to be very profound, and any intentions you set Any new seeds you feel within around those are going to be very profound around you and a certain mastery that wants to sort of blossom into your life and become a very important aspect of your character. Yeah, real leader, real strength, real mastery energy coming through here. So beautiful, beautiful Virgo. All right, next up, we've got Libra. Okay, Libra, this is your mini reading for November. Let's pick an animal for you guys. The bee, beautiful. This is really feeling like a part of a team, teamwork, happy work, productive work, really feeling in the groove of getting some productivity and efficiency going around something that's very fun and exciting and buzzworthy. Okay, let's see what planet wants to speak to this for you guys. It has a message. Saturn, so this may have to do with your career in general. You may really be in demand in terms of a certain expertise you have, or within the job you already have a lot of people looking to you to be more of like, not quite the queen bee, but like the main organizer of the troop of bees. I don't know if there's generals in the bee world, but like that. Yeah, so like really, you know, people are really going to be looking to you and up to you, and to get things moving, to lean into a certain happy, organized, productive capacity you have to bring to something. Okay, let's pick an inner compass card for you guys. That one wants to come out. Vulnerability. All right. So internally, you may have a lot of deep care for and tenderness about what the world is asking of you. And I think you need to understand that what people see on the surface is very strong and very capable, no matter what you feel inside. And I love vulnerability. Lean into it. There's something you're newly bringing out of your depths, and so that can feel a little scary. Like, is it ready? Is it strong enough? And what I can tell you about that is no one is seeing that vulnerability. They're seeing strength. They're seeing someone to lean on, to look towards, to they're seeing everything positive that you would want them to see. They're not feeling that vulnerability, but it's a beautiful thing internally for you to lean into and really feel and yeah, just push into it. You're crossing a threshold into your coming from deepening and strengthening something to like showing it to the world, and that's a beautiful internal process to go through. But out externally, people are just seeing that strength, so trust that is what is coming through on the outside. All right, Libra. Okay, next up we've got Scorpio. This is your guys, most of your birthday months. Some of you had some October birthdays, but most of you will have some November birthdays, so a big month for you. Let's see what animal wants to show up. Oyster, beautiful. This makes a lot of sense to me with the South Node going through your sign, which is why there's eclipses in your birthday season this year. And it's a South Node eclipse for you guys, which means this is something at a halfway point. You're halfway through like a 19-year journey. And at that point, there's really something you've worked on to bring into a certain wholeness, to really mold and shape and develop your kind of sacredness around, a wholeness around, self-sufficiency, productivity around. And so what this is saying is you've spent a lot of time, whatever's really felt this month for you and central to your month, is that there's something you've worked on for a very, very long time. And it is now a fully formed, amazing, gorgeous pearl, and it's time for you to open up and show the world what you have. It's time for you to put this thing out there, to get over any shyness about this. I mean, you Scorpios aren't that shy, but you are very secretive and private. So this is saying it's time to open up a little bit more, to just see how far you've come and how much you've developed, whatever this relates to for you, something you've really worked on. Okay, let's see what planet has a message about this. Mercury, a lot of information coming in, a lot of connection. To me, this Mercury is saying that there's a lot of connection, and for some of you, even commerce to start to come into play and be had as you open up. Opening up whatever this is that you need to show the world, because you've kept it very lock and key, is really, really going to connect you in the world, and you're going to be quite surprised at how much people connect to and want to touch and be around and talk about and inform others. Sort of almost like viral energy to me of like what it is you have to show. So you know, you as a sign are usually going to be very careful about who and what you show things to. So use that discernment as you will, but do find ways to start opening whatever you've really honed and developed and cultivated in you, in your life, to whoever and whatever you think has that kind of connection you're looking for, kind of information, connection, community, movement that you need for this. It's there for the taking. Okay, inner compass, choice. And I think that taps into what I just said about you guys are very secretive and you're very precise, and you know who and what to give your power to feel empowered and to empower things and people around you. And so it is about being discerning, making really precise choices about who you connect to, who you show something you've cultivated to, who you say yes and no to, that kind of thing. You do still have a choice here. You don't have to open this oyster up and show the pearl to the whole world. Do it in the precise way that you are very good at, and make those precise choices of who are the right links, who are the right connections, what is the right information to share, you know, that kind of thing. All right, moving on. Sagittarius, this is your reading for November. Okay, let's see, an animal for you guys. Whoa, a whole bunch want to come out. Well, that's the one that, oh, still got two anyway. It's going to be a big month for you guys. I can feel that already. So what I have to say about that, because almost like I feel like 10 cards wanted to jump out, is that even though the eclipses and the north and south, well, it would have been the south node has sort of moved on from your sign, the way that I read these eclipse energies and the nodes of the moon that create eclipses is that within 30 degrees of it either way, you're still being very affected. So a lot of Sagittarians are still being very affected by south node energy, which is about something that's come into wholeness, that has been streamlined, refined, made productive, found its purpose, and is in this efficient place of like really processing and producing something. And you know, you're standing pretty strong in that capacity right now. So what's showing up is you guys always do make really great teachers and mentors and sages, and this is showing up. This is an archetype, I think, within you that it has really come into development and really wants to step into that in November, of like, in what way can you be a teacher in the world, or a mentor in the world, or a guide? And every mentor and guide needs their own mentor and guide. So these types of teachers may also show up in your own life, to really hone and refine your own capacity in that role. And then we've got Otter coming through, which is really beautiful, feminine, divine feminine energy, a real interest in supporting and honing the creativity in people and allowing creativity to flourish, joy, love, connection, affection, creativity. So maybe your role as some sort of guide or teacher or mentor or sage has something to do with that type of energy, or you may be finding kind of teachers that have an Otter energy in your life. Okay, let's see what planet wants to speak on this for you guys. Jupiter, that's your ruling planet. So just like confirmation of it being a big month, being in your energy, being ready to just like step into your greatness. Yeah, beautiful for you guys. Just, yeah, own your greatness, own your perspective, own your philosophies and beliefs, and yeah, just you have some beautiful things to share in the world. Okay, an inner compass card for you guys. The compass, which a compass to me relates a lot to Sagittarius energy as well. Really having a vision and a target is coming through here that's making you even more powerful in these archetypes, and people looking to you for having that clarity of a certain direction and vision. So beautiful. All right, next up we've got Capricorn. Capricorn, this is your November mini astro reading, and we're going to pick an animal for you guys. Phoenix, beautiful. So there's something in your life, and this makes a lot of sense generally and universally, but for many reasons it's pronounced for you guys specifically, is that November holds a lot of Scorpio energy in it, which connects to the Phoenix. It's about letting certain things die off in order to create fertile soils for new seeds about to be planted. So it's about letting go of certain things that are preventing you and your life force from moving and feeling empowered, and letting it be the new soil and the new food to rebirth, to resurrect some aspect of your power, of your life force, to grow even bigger, to really claim its place and its power and its passion and its magnificence in the world. So really powerful work here, transformative work. Something maybe resurrecting in you. You're really maybe witnessing an area where your power has gotten stuck, and you're able to kind of burn that away and rebirth and find that empowerment, find that way to let your life force move in this area where it was stuck. Okay, let's see what planet wants to speak on this. The moon. So trust your intuition, trust impressions that come through you and to you, and really take time to self-care, to nourish yourself, to take some private time to just really tend to any tenderness, vulnerability that you may feel. And I've seen that come through for several piles now, so that might just be in the air, a real vulnerable feeling. but that means that there's growth happening towards your soul journey, towards your soul's calling. So lean into that and really trust your intuition. Okay, let's get an inner compass card for you guys. Ooh, beautiful, the Magnet. Yeah, there's something really profound happening for you guys this month in terms of absolutely like witnessing where certain energies gotten stuck around your power, around your ability to draw and seduce and be a magnet for things in your life. And once you see that, you're able to move it, to heal it, to let it go into the soils to help something rebirth in you. And that life force that's rebirthing in you has to do with a lot of your empowerment, a lot of your power, and it's something that's going to draw things to you the way Scorpio energy likes to do. So very Scorpionic and very fitting for the month, and really, really profound for you guys. So really, you know, lean into that deep, dark, mysterious work, because you're really unleashing something in your life force where it was stuck before, and it's bringing in this new empowerment for you guys. All right. Okay, next up we've got Aquarius. This is your mini reading for November. We're going to pick an animal for your month. Oh, dragon and moth both came through. So, self-esteem, determination. So the dragon in this deck has a lot to do with the solar plexus. You're finding your power, you're finding your follow through, you're finding your will and your passion and your kind of command of your own life, and really making moves this month. So very powerful stuff. And then we've got the moth as well. And what I want to read about that in terms of, because these feel very different energies to me. This feels sort of like how you're reaching in the world right now, and this is feeling more about how you're needing to kind of like ground and tend to yourself. And that's by letting yourself be a little bit more, especially in the dark hours and nighttime, letting yourself just kind of like wander and flit from inspiration to inspiration with no clear kind of goal or path. I think that's the way that you self-care in sort of your downtime, which is the exact kind of nurturance and remedy you need to the amount of force and direction and willpower and follow through and intense focus that you're going to have in your outer life, in the daytime, in whatever it is for you, whether it's family life, job, personal energy and health, whatever it is to you, that fire that's going to burn brightly and kind of your more seen outward world needs some balancing with a little bit of just whimsy. Okay, let's see what planet has a message for you guys. Saturn. So for a lot of you, this dragon energy is going to have to do with your career, your authority, or any kind of mastery that you are building in your life. Okay, last thing, we are going to pick an inner compass card. Teamwork. And interestingly, in this deck, what teamwork means is getting deeply in line with your mind, body, soul, letting all of those aspects of self kind of come together and figure out how to work together in order to have that clear path. And so paradoxically, I think what's happening here, for you to come into alignment and have that clarity and agreement with everything within you, like that unity that alleviates certain inner tensions, that allows you to really move forward. So this dragon energy that really is aligned and moving forward, the way that you can nourish finding that alleviation of any inner tension that's preventing you from kind of pushing forward in life is whimsy, is directionlessness, is just following imagination and inspiration. So something about that is the key to really harmonizing within, and then getting that clear focus and that drive and determination and that just knowing of exactly where you're going, what you're doing, and what you need to do. Okay, beautiful, Aquarius. All right, Pisces, you guys are up, and this is your reading, mini astro reading for November. We're going to pick you an animal for your month. Feeling shy. Hummingbird. That's so lovely for you guys. I really enjoy seeing this for you. I think it's a time to start feeling some, just in the astrology of things. I don't want to bring too much outside knowledge. I want to lean more into the cards and dice I bring here, but I do just want to say that in the astrology, you guys have been under some pressure and things sort of like wanting to liberate yourself from certain things, and I'm feeling like a new hope, a new vision, a new light coming through for you guys that's helping you to see something about your future, which is giving you joy, is giving you some levity, is giving you that little seed of energy. Hummingbirds are so small, but they're capable of traveling so far. And that's a really great message, is that even though whatever it is in you that's finding this new hope feels far off, or even sometimes in moments like maybe not realistic, or questioning that future vision, there's so much power packed into this little bird, and it's so dynamic, able to, hover, fly in any direction, backwards, up, down, forward. It's really dynamic and really strong and powerful. So even though this new hope may feel, far off and little at the moment, or you little and compared to it, like it's sort of, this is coming through of like, trust what's coming through and allow it to bring joy and levity and heart opening into your life. Okay, let's see what planet wants to speak to this. Uranus. Yeah, you're breaking free, you're liberating, you're finding new hope and new future vision for something in your life. That's exactly the energy I was sort of trying to explain earlier. So let's see, inner compass is saying many thanks. So creating a practice of gratitude in November will be really important in terms of allowing your strength to grow, allowing things to grow towards what you want, and expansion, and attracting to you the things you want versus what you don't want. So gratitude for, if you really are focused on like kind of liberating from certain constructs that have kind of suffocated you, find gratitude for the little things that are drawing your future out of you. Practice having gratitude for what you see in your future, for those little visions coming through, for that new hope coming through. So practice of gratitude this month will really help strengthen that hummingbird energy and that ability to start moving something that you feel so little in comparison to, towards each other, you towards this big thing. All right, this is the end of the mini astro readings. Head to timestamps in the descriptions for your pile. I'll see you guys there. Hello, pile one. Welcome to your November reading. So you guys chose the hexagram 21, cutting through, fire above, thunder below. And in this reading, this card is representing for November, in general, what's sort of a main thread or theme in your environment. So what events, circumstances, literal environments is kind of encompassing your world, creating the things you need to kind of respond and react to. And for you, this has a lot to do with something that really needs to be confronted in order for you to understand your power, whether it's needing to claim your power back or recognize through responses and reactions you get when you confront this thing that needs to be confronted. Or maybe it will be multiple things for some of you in November, where there may be issues of control coming through. So it's a big month, and it makes sense with Scorpio energy kind of really ruling most of the month, that there could be some power struggles going on and some real want and need for some sort of truth and justice to take place. And it's really worth, confronting the things that come up and really paying attention to the responses and reactions you get to understand, is something trying to weaken you? Are you trying to overpower something? Just really detangling and getting some reflection in terms of the control around you, or the control you exert, and why that is, kind of taking place in your world. And then I'm sort of adding on, there's this system called the Gene Keys, which is based off of human design, which is kind of an astrological system, but it does use the hexagrams of the I-Ching within it. And so I was looking at the book and curious if it would be worth adding in anything from that gene key interpretation of this hexagram, and it felt very aligned and interesting, and really fleshed some things out, because it kind of goes through like where's the shadow of it to where's the heart and the power of it to where is it's like divine, real sacred expression that's really hard to get to. So in this shadow, it does have to do with control. We've already kind of gone through of like, and it talks about that as being an energy that really comes from a sense of fear and territorialism of something. What is it that's being controlled in your life, or that you're trying to control in your life, and how is fear attached to that? And then the next level up from there is really coming into a sense of authority through listening to your heart and kind of coming out of love versus fear. So where can your heart interject itself into whatever needs to be confronted, wherever there's kind of some power struggles, some territorial struggles, some control struggles? What does your heart have to say about that? And that energy of heart and love actually is an energy of really finding our strength too, and the strength of a situation and the strength of an overall outcome. So really plugging into your heart will plug you into the right orientation of authority needed in these issues that may kind of be around you this month. And then the real sacred divine expression here is valor, and it's about inspiring loyalty. So if you reach this place that feels really spiritually energetic and positive and fruitful, it may be that you've been inspired to be loyal to someone or something because they've really shown that they listen and they're in service to your needs. Or you could be on the other side of that if you're taking kind of the authority and leadership in a circumstance. You will inspire loyalty and you'll feel that if you're really listening and you're really looking for how to be of service in your leadership. So really interesting card, interesting stuff coming through, very fitting for a Scorpionic month. So an animal card that wants to come through, and I haven't looked at any of these yet, that's going to show sort of where you are in your energy, so we can kind of compare where your energy is versus this, you know, confrontation sort of energy coming through in your environment. So Stingray, this is all about creating a backbone, really strengthening your backbone. So I would say the majority of you are maybe in a weaker position this month. They're having to stand up to certain things that feel like they're overpowering you, and you really need to. The backbone and the heart are very related in astrology with that Leo energy and leadership. So it's really developing your spine to confront. This is saying that you are really being tasked with confronting things where you feel like your power is not being recognized and your authority is not being recognized. And by the way to do that is really getting in touch with your heart, which ignites your courage, which strengthens your backbone. So it starts in the heart here. So really get in touch with your heart. What is your heart saying? What does your heart think is the right recourse, the right way to confront this, the right way to step into your own authority in this situation? And then a divine message that wants to come through and be supportive to you. Oh my gosh, I swear to you, I didn't look at these cards. Healing the heart, power of self-love. So really create a practice this month of self-love, of tending to your heart, getting really quiet to listen to your heart. It can be really hard to connect with our heart unless we create a practice of quiet and stillness and listening within. So create that practice, find some affirmations around self-love and the power of self-love. So beautiful. So these are kind of overarching themes for your month coming through. Okay, we are going to look at the 4 cardinal directions of life to see what energies are coming through, and then we will draw some tarot cards to see around this central stuff what a little bit more context, drawing out a little more context there. Okay, so something you need to know about where your drive and passion and energy are coming from this month. Judgment. I understand that everyone has their own unique path and challenges. So I love judgment coming up in relation to what we've already seen. It's feeling like you either need to step up and actually make some make some judgments about things, be daring enough to kind of proclaim like, yeah, this situation is blank, and confront it. Or looking at other people and putting yourself in their shoes and recognizing what their challenges are, and so why they've maybe made certain judgments, and something about that, maybe doing both of those. Like, what do I need? What judgments do I need to make? How can I understand the way other people have made their own judgments? And something about that kind of deliberation is really going to help you find kind of direction and motivation and energy this month. Okay, looking down at what ways you need to work on self-care and nurturing and nourishing yourself this month. Oh, couldn't be any better. Courage, which is totally related to the heart and having that backbone. Okay, I'll hold this up so you can read it as well. So I make courage a daily practice through those circumstances may feel overwhelming. I know that, sorry, I'm trying to read this on the screen instead of the card, but I'm going to look at the card now so I'm not fumbling. Okay. I know I have what it takes as I take time to recall the various hardships I have already overcome. I cultivate courage for the new thing before me. I know that every act of courage, whether small or big, makes an impact far beyond what I may see. Yeah, this is just tending to your heart. Really starting with that heart place, listening to it, creating a practice of stillness around it, affirmations of self-love, affirmations of your own heart's strength and courage, really feeding it, strengthening it so that that backbone then gets ignited to stand up for yourself and to say what you need to say and confront what you need to confront. Okay, we are going to look at relational energy now in your life. Oh my gosh. This is so crazy. This definitely gives me a clue, though, that we have courage a second time, that there's something in terms of a relationship, whether that be love relationship, business relationship, a family, any one-on-one kind of relationship you have, that's what's needing to be understood in your heart, and strengthening some self-love in yourself in order to confront something and have the courage in your relationships. There's something to be confronted there, I think, specifically. Okay, so the last direction that we're going to look at is how you are reaching in the world, how you're finding authority and mastery and your place in the outer world. And we've got union. The energy of union activates our ability to unite our outer and inner aspects toward a state of wholeness. So I love that this is really playing on kind of that divine aspect we talked about with cutting through, or the 21st hexagram of valor. And I really think where you're going to find your authority and your courage and your strength this month is by really listening, and by whatever authority you do find that courage and backbone to exert, doing it out of love and doing it in a way where you're really listening and in service to an outcome that's positive, and finding that union, finding that place of where there's what am I trying to say here? Where there's a productive outcome in the way you confront, in the, and sometimes when we confront something, instead of just coming from that judgment place of just pointing a finger, we need to come with a constructive criticism or a constructive alternative. And I feel like that's what's coming through here, is the authority that you have, the mastery you have, has the capacity to find a constructive alternative or suggestion that has the potential, if you listen and you come from love versus fear, to really create a productive outcome in whatever it is you're confronting. And this 4-4 here is showing that there's immense stability that you hold and that you possess in your authority. And to trust in that, and then adding up to 8, that you have more power than you recognize. I think maybe you're someone who sometimes gets really focused on the stability and foundations of things and forgets to recognize that stability and that strength of foundation that you create affords you the ability to have power, to reach, to create abundance in the world. And I feel like that word really hit when I said it. You have the potential, when you come with a constructive alternative in whatever you're confronting, not only to create a productive outcome, but to create an abundant outcome in something. So really beautiful. Okay, let's tune in to the tarot to see some maybe context of what's going on around this heart and confrontation and backbone energy this month. Really stepping into your authority through love. What do we need to know about this? Two of Water, Chariot, very Cancerian cards, Queen of Fire, Hanged Man upside down in reverse, and Seven of Water. Okay, yeah. I'm seeing where we're going with this. Okay. What I am feeling coming through is that you have spent a lot of time. I think you are the person in whatever you're needing to confront, whether it's a circumstance or a relationship or an industry, whatever it is you're confronting or you're needing to confront. You have very fertile energy, and you've spent a lot of time down in your depths really connecting to your soul, which means that you're really ready to push forward past deepening into that heart space of recognizing you have the strength to now push out into the world and be a little bit more of a force rather than spending your energy on strengthening and protecting and nourishing things. Your cycle of growth in something has reached its conclusion of deepening its roots. You are as stable as you're going to get, and I think you're very stable, seeing the strength of the Cancer energy, and then we saw that 44 number. It's time for you to show your power in the world. And it may just be that. Maybe for some of you, it's not necessarily about confronting some dominant power in your life, but it's confronting your own fear of your own power and really developing your own heart and love and backbone and ability to be seen as strong and act strong in the world. And I think that's what's coming through, because then we come from this very Cancerian energy where you've really found your soul path and you've really tended to it and strengthened it and spent a lot of time down in the depths, into this Queen of Fire, into this position of regality, of power, of authority, that's very creative with that fire. It's either very passionate or very creative, but there's an assertion there. And I love that this candle she's holding is generating a heart of light over her heart. And so really having spent time down in your depths and down in your soul, I think that you are actually quite connected already to your heart. And now you just need to get out of your heart's way and let it lead, let it push forward, let it drive you, because it's really glowing right now. It's really ready to step up and be a force in the world and step into a place of leadership, but in that queenly way versus a kingly way, of leadership in terms of that deep listening I've talked to, of leading out of service and listening and providing that unity in people and community in people, of like, this is really a caring, tender leader that sees that the most vulnerable in any territory or circumstance is really the level that that thing is at is where the most vulnerable are, and like understanding that and really wanting to lift things and people up, and really, yeah, using that love, that listening, that bringing people together. We saw with the unity in your mastery card and the card of ruling your position in the world this month. So you're really bringing, I think, using your heart to step forward and bring people together. And then we see the Hangman upside down, which is this card, the visual of it and what's come before it, the way that it's feeling to me is when the Hangman is upright, where, you know, he's actually hanged, it's sort of like where we really need to recognize something archaic, our vision, you know, get upside down in ourselves because there's a perspective in us that's gotten too stagnant or brittle, and we need to flip our perspective. But it's sort of like you've now come out of that and you have a new perspective. Your perspective is very dynamic and fluid right now, and that's what I'm feeling, is like someone who's come out of this upside down place where you've really understood perspective around something. Maybe it's around your heart here, and you're feeling very dynamic, and it's time to let that dynamic perspective kind of fly and be an inspiration. That's what I'm feeling, is there's an inspiration ready to come out of you because you've gone through this really deep process and work around shedding some kind of old perception around your power, around your heart, around creativity, and it's just suddenly something clicks, you understand something, your perspective is broadened, it's updated, and you become just this inspirational kind of energy that knows how to move things. And then we see the Seven of Water as the last card here. And I think this is an indication that not only are you ready to step into your power, but by doing so, a lot of opportunities and a lot of potential paths are going to present themselves. And it's by staying connected to your heart that you'll know which ones to choose. Because I always say with the Seven of Waters that not everything that glitters is gold. There can be some deception around appearances. And this is exactly the work that all this Cancer, Two of Waters, Chariot energy that you've really honed and developed in yourself knows how to navigate, knows how to connect to intuition and inner sight and inner feeling about things rather than appearance of things, and say, you know, even though this beautiful shell is the shiniest, most attractive opportunity or path or offer or something to follow, what's actually inside might be garbage. And so when you close your eyes and you just feel it, sort of like picking in the pick a card tarot, picking one of those, sometimes you're just like really drawn to a pile where you're like, ugh, really that one? Like, I'm not really attracted to that visually, but there's a draw. And you need to do the same with different opportunities, different openings, different persuasions that are going to come your way as you push your heart and your command out into the world. You need to really, really remember and stick with that intuitive depth you've developed to choose your yeses and nos about different potentials coming through for you. All right, this is where I'm going to leave you, pile one. Beautiful reading. Happy November. Happy eclipse season and Scorpio season and into Sag season. Really, really powerful month for you guys. So yeah, dig in and do that work and put your heart forward. All right, I will see you in another reading, and I always forget if this resonated, all the things I really appreciate. Thumbs up, comment, subscribe, all of that great stuff. And yeah, hope to see you in another reading. See ya. Hello Pile 2, welcome to your November reading. If this is you guys, you picked the 25th hexagram, Innocence, Sky Above, Thunder Below. And I'm adding in this time, if you've watched my previous month readings, I really stick to the hexagram in the I-Ching sense of the meaning of the hexagram to these. But I decided to add in, there's another kind of astrological sort of system called the gene keys, which uses the hexagrams as well. And I decided to look at that and see how well they fit. And I think it adds such a beautiful layer. So I'm kind of integrating both the traditional I-Ching and this gene key element as well in terms of interpreting this main card of your month, which is going to represent sort of the environment that you're in, circumstances, events. What is the main, if you were to look back once November's over, the kind of main thread through the month that you had to respond to and react to and just engage with. So with Innocence, this month is going to really bring to the forefront, whether it's a universal general thing in you or whether it has to do about the way you feel in a very specific circumstance or area of your life. It's really bringing to the forefront, you're being shown something about where you hold some constriction, both in your breath and in your heart, where there's maybe a coldness or a standoffishness that can kind of sometimes come across as being ignorant, because there's such a constriction around whatever that's coming into your environment. But it's being mirrored back to you. You're going to really, through the events that come through this month, really start to see something about some aspect or something about you where you kind of constrict, and really get mirrored to you why that is and what triggers it and where it's coming from. So pay a lot of attention to your breath and the way you hold yourself and the sense of your heart of like what triggers you to kind of retreat from life, constrict, feel cold about something. And by looking at it, by having this mirrored to you and being willing to look at it, it naturally brings up this thing of starting to accept something. It'll be different for all of you, so it's hard to go too far beyond what that acceptance is, but it kind of will help to unwind you a little bit. There's something that maybe you've been wound up about, constricted about, hence sort of blocking any flow of heart, information, energy in general into you. But by accepting, by seeing it, looking at it, and recognizing like, oh, I constrict with this, and just looking at it, all of a sudden there's this acceptance of like, yeah, I do constrict here. And just by that acceptance, it's not that you have to see the why behind it, just that you do, and to accept it and watch it, something unwinds in you naturally. And you'll be able to allow that acceptance to kind of crack open and unwind that thing that triggers that constriction. And it cracks open this sense of love within you. So this is an energy where you need to get out of your mind and more into your heart to feel, to connect with the energetics of something. So definitely, this is very abstract, and I hope you're connecting to what I'm saying. But yeah, paying attention to breath and heart. Oh my gosh, and there is a black cat. I've never seen, this black cat is around the neighborhood, I see it, but it is never perched in front of my window on this fence, and it's staring at me directly, and so this feels like such a sign. It's just like, yeah, it's time to accept that there is constriction within you. Start to accept it, start to notice when it happens, and just breathe out. Unwind. Something will unwind in you here, and it's going to bring your heart into a much more open state where there's, instead of an ignorance and innocence, which is very beautiful, it's coming from the heart and being out of mind and just connected to the energetics of something, and connecting to those energetics connects us more to a sense of love versus kind of dissecting or judging or analyzing. It just opens. And so pay attention to that. You really have the potential through things that come into your month to notice when you constrict, just accept that you do, unwind and break open into love and your heart, and a greater warmth and a greater sense of innocence that's very different from ignorance. Okay, so now I'm repeating myself. We'll stop there. And we are going to now look at an animal that wants to come through that has something to say about where your personal, so these are events that are going to come through that will trigger this in you, and the animal is coming through to give some information about your personal energy, so how you might confront this, maybe ways of dealing with this, through where your energy is. Oh, interesting. The raccoon, which is a masked, the masked crusader. So I think an aspect of you is going to be unmasked this month. I think that's what's coming through, is you're really being shown where you've masked yourself, where you've separated yourself a little from life and constricted yourself. This is not the typical way I'd read this card or raccoon, but this is just, what's coming through is something that you've hidden away, that you've constricted from, that you tense up with breathing, so hence you've sort of masked in your life. It's going to be unmasked. You're really going to be confronted with where you have masks on that are preventing your heart from engaging in love and life. Okay, so that's really, really interesting, but I think that raccoon energy is also fierce. It's willing to look. It's willing to have that acceptance to look and see and recognize when it's, when it needs its mask on, when it kind of needs to constrict and hide from something in life. So, there's that willingness to confront that in the raccoon, and I think that's coming through for you, a willingness to confront this. Okay, so Priestess of Light, we're going to see which sort of divine protective energy wants to come in and either give some protection or give some guidance to you this month. So, oh my gosh, this is so weird. The first pile had such a weird thing like this too, is sacred breath and sound, life force, communication. And I'm just tuning into that breath thing here. Create a practice this month around breath work. There's a lot of different types of breath work, so just do a little bit of research on different breath works. I'm sure there's plenty of like YouTubes or books or different yoga studios, whatever it is. There's a lot of access to knowledge and tools around different breath work, and there's maybe something about sound too that might help you to unwind a little bit. But create a practice this month. That's what's coming through, to want to really help generate some protection and some downloads and some beautiful understanding is just creating a practice around breath work and potentially some sound involved in that breath work. Beautiful, really interesting month, really interesting stuff going on for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick read on your 4 kind of anchor directions in life this month, and then we'll do some tarot to dive into a little bit more context specifically about what's going on here. But first, let's just kind of get your anchor points. So this first one is about your sense of what's driving you, what's motivating you, what can help your energy and your energy level this month. So perseverance. I know that I can do whatever I set my mind to. So you may come in, the things around this month, the energy around this month, this deep work you're doing, it may feel big, it may feel overwhelming, and it may feel very daunting and exhausting to you, but just committing to it, just saying I'm willing to do this work, is going to give you a sense of perseverance. You're really motivated, and I feel that with that raccoon. There is a fierce willingness to confront this issue in your life. And not only is there an issue to just do it because you have courage, but there's something more in you, or you really want to get over the hump on this, and your energy is really driving you to stick to it, to follow through, to persevere, and to prioritize and dedicate to this. Okay, and it's about setting your mind, setting that intention to will really give you that drive and motivation to just follow through and stick with it. Okay, where you need, the next anchor point is where you need self-care, nurturance, some privacy in your life. Okay, abundant. I'll hold this up so you can read it along with me if you want. Okay, I am connected to the endless abundance that life offers. I trust that the universe is plentiful and desires to flow in and through my life. I understand that scarcity is merely an illusion, and that any sense of lack is an invitation to deepen my appreciation. I acknowledge the beauty currently surrounding me and allow abundance to be cultivated from the inside out. This may be a clue about, for some of you, probably not all of you, but for some of you, if this resonates, a constriction around abundance. So needing to create a practice with your, with your breath work and with that sound of, take a screenshot of this card, read it each time before you start some breath work, and really let that settle into you, something about opening to you, opening to an unwinding, a constriction around your connection to abundance. And really, using some affirmations, relaxing around, breathing into, using sound to expand to the nature of abundance and your connection to abundance. For some of you, I'm really feeling like that might be where some constriction is. Okay, looking at the next anchor point, how are relational energies going? What do you need to know about that? Beautiful, intimacy. The energy of intimacy supports us trusting that we are safe to allow closeness. So for some of you, that may also hit around safety in closeness with others. Maybe there's a constriction with that. And for those of you that connect with that, if that resonates, here, I'll hold this up and you can screenshot it if you want and say, repeat these words before you do breath works and really breathe into that energy of intimacy. Okay, and then the last anchor point is sort of how you're reaching in the world, something to know about your outer position in the world. Going forward, I think this is so beautiful. This feels like the expansion and the opening and the allowance this is maybe where, you know, notice that difference between something you constrict around, whether it's your sense of connection to abundance or closeness and intimacy, versus something that you're reaching for in life and developing authority and mastery in, that you maybe have a much more open, easy breath with, where you're going forward. So notice that difference, but also this is a message that there's something in your outer world position, your authority you're building, any mastery you're building, that's really got a clear path ahead, that's got the sun shining on it, a beautiful day to travel forward in this card, which means a beautiful month for you to travel forward, to make progress, to feel, yeah, like something about your aspirations, career, authority, whatever it is for you. It could be all three, all of those. It's really got the green light and really got beautiful conditions to push forward. So yeah, that's really cool to see for you guys. I like that contrast to constriction that came up there. Okay, we're gonna do just a few tarot cards to see if we can get a little bit more specific context around this main work of the month. Woo. This wants to come out. Beautiful 10 of Waters. Yikes. Queen of Earth. These are gorgeous cards so far. Wow, 2 queens in a row. Messenger of Air and 5 of Fire. Wow. These are really, really gorgeous cards. Let me just think on them for a second. Feel into them. You have water, earth, fire, and air. You have all 4 elements here. You have 3 court cards. So there's going to be a lot of interaction with people for sure in your life. That's coming through, and all of the elements are coming. There's a really dynamic energy here, and I think along with that perseverance card we saw around your personal drive and motivation and energy, is you have a lot of dynamic energy and people and experiences and things coming through to really circulate this work, to really get great mirrors from others, to really there's just like a lot of energy in general, but a diversity of energy coming through to really see multiple dimensions of this constriction versus expansion energy. So a lot of dynamic movement is what I'm feeling like. A lot of dynamic movement coming through here. But overall, like I feel like you're ready for this work, and just starting off with the 10 of Water, that acceptance, that allowance, and that willingness to kind of drop into acceptance and witness what's going on with constriction. You're coming into a deep understanding about this. So not only are you going to find this month that willingness to face certain things, to see it happening, but you're coming to a place where it's going to make a lot of sense. You're not only going to just see and accept that there's constriction in an area, but it's going to make sense, and it's going to heal in you. Everything's going to, it's like complete understanding about this is really coming through and moving and creating some fluidity and understanding and comprehension and healing here. So really beautiful. And I think what it's revealing on the other side is how beautiful and powerful your heart is. You have a lot of respect for others. You have a lot of heart to give and wanting to bring life together, to make life fertile, to move life, to bring other people together, and a real beautiful quality, a real purity of quality within you. Once you can start breathing and expanding and unwinding this certain thing in you, you really step into a power role. You really expand into something noble and wise and beautifully orchestrating within you. And on top of that, a real dynamic ability to move information around, to move people around. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, I think this realization and this understanding is going to hit kind of earlier in the month. And then the rest of the month, you're really, keep working. It's, there is that perseverance, and I think that work on some breath and that unwinding. But by the end of the month, you're just really going to step into a new sense of your expansiveness and your nobility of spirit and your dynamic ability. And then by the end of the month, you're really going to have like a strategy in place for something. Let's pull a card for that. A strategy in place for something really moves and changes and shifts and heals in you, and suddenly you have this new strategy that comes through to I don't know what about. Let's see. Let's pick, what is this strategy having to do with? Six of Water, nostalgia, it could be strategy around just further healing for some of you. Things from the past, of really understanding where some constriction entered you. Sorry. I can't really see that very well, huh? It could be like a fierceness of heart and a strategy and a forthrightness in wanting to really dig even further into this. And for some of you, it could have to do with using what you've unraveled, that new expansion that's coming through, like really using it, and the things, the insights you gained, I think for a lot of you from childhood things, using it in art to move others, using it in some emotional way to just to open you up more, to inspire in the world, to create in the world. I really feel like you're moving, what you learn about this constriction in you and the opening that comes, you're really able to use just that tension and that deep knowledge and understanding and comprehension and healing that comes through to produce something more creative, something creative that really moves people, or moves just, even if it's just for yourself, like writing a little, rewriting a narrative, or writing about something that's coming through how you're feeling moved about something. And for some of you, it's really actually putting some artistic work into the world that moves others. So but by the end of the month, it's like something's strategizing, something's feeling bold and courageous and planning around using all of this energy that's kind of released and unwound in you in some beautiful creative way. So that will at least be felt by the end of the month, and probably won't be put into action for another month or two. But anyway, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. Really beautiful, really interesting, really deep work, and I love the uncovering here of like, once you really understand what this constriction is about, like what on the other side of it you expand into, and it's just like, whoa, amazing, amazing dynamic, whew, compassionate, beautiful expanse coming through. All right, this is where I'm going to leave you guys. Happy November, happy eclipses. I feel like all of these piles are probably going to be intense because of the eclipse season we're having. And yeah, if this resonated with you, all the things I appreciate, the thumbs up, comments, subscribe. And yeah, I hope to see you in another reading. All right, see you guys. Hello, pile 3, and welcome to your November reading. And you guys chose the hexagram 61, Centering in Truth, Wind Above, Lake Below. So this card represents sort of the circumstances and events and literal environment. If you were to look back on November once you've gone through it, some general themes to pull out around what kind of things you were faced with, that you had to respond to and react to and kind of be a part of in your life. So I have to say this is a very, very interesting card. With these monthly readings, for those of you that have been coming to these, I've really been sticking to the general I-Ching descriptions for these, but this month I added in, there's sort of an astrological system that uses these hexagrams within it, and it sort of has an interesting way of drawing out things about these I-Ching hexagrams. It's called the gene keys, and I was curious to see how it would layer in, and so I was taking a look at them before doing the reading, and they, I think, added a really beautiful piece to it. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about this card placement than I usually do. So centering in truth, this has a lot to do with really understanding, being able to kind of step back from your own judgments and biases and perceptions about the world, and sort of being able to let go of what you think truth is and opening up to inspiration, where certain like universal truths start to come through. And it's easy to tell when those have happened because everyone responds to real, true, universal truth. So there's something about this card, about this centering in truth energy this month for you guys, where there may be questions of why that come up, that put pressure on you, that drive you mad, that have you seeking and in your mind and questioning, and it can really drive you into a certain sort of madness. And in general, the collective consciousness is in this state of madness, of like really being in our heads and our judgments and our biases about certain questions of why and certain questions of truth. And to get out of that, and something I think you're going to experience this month, is that it's by raising our, like, a certain frequency in us and releasing the things we think we know, that we think are true because we have, our biases and judgments and whatnot, and reasoning and beliefs, whatever they are, and just kind of like cracking out of it. And it's this weird paradox where it's like
the way to get out of a certain madness is to crack open, which a lot of people think that like cracking open is the madness. But when you're getting into madness and you can see it by this pressure and this question, it's by allowing yourself to crack a little, to release what you thought was and just open, that inspiration is allowed in to hit, and it's totally beyond our mind. It's totally beyond our ability to deduce and reason and interject our beliefs into certain things to find the answers. They come when we let go of the mind. And so this may be a month where you either start out in this and end up more towards inspiration by the end of the month, or where you're going to like vacillate between feeling a certain madness and feeling inspiration, and madness and inspiration. So I don't know. I think that rhythm is going to be different, because with collective readings, you have to kind of feel what comes through because there's a collective of people. And what I'm feeling is that some of you have like a specific why for them, that this will take on importance in the month, and by the end of the month you'll kind of crack open with it and find that inspiration and find that universal truth. And for some of you, it will just be more of this ebb and flow of littler questions that drive you insane, and then that cracking open, and that question and the cracking open. And so there is this ability to really be influential when you find that thing where you can reach that inspiration. And even further from that, or into it, some of you, not everyone has the capability to get there, but some of you may get into this sensation of what's called sanctity, where you feel like you're one with the divine, and really, really in that flow state of understanding a certain truth that's really universal, and the deep creativity arising out of you to be able to express it, that really influences and really touches people. So very interesting journey, very interesting overarching kind of circumstance, environment, enshrining you this month. So I also want to look at, I've picked an animal card that is indicating, it wants to tell you something about your personal energy in the month, which may show us even a little bit more about how you may react to this environment that brings out a lot of questions in you, or the whys in you. So seeing, and you have two animals. I didn't realize that two cards got picked, so that's interesting. Ooh, I love this. Whale and elephant. I feel like it's like the big sea animal and the big earth animal, both very wise and deep and profound. So I would then want to say that the majority of you, I still think there's some of you that are going to go through that ebb and flow of that why and madness, and then cracking open to inspiration. But I want to say that the majority of you, this is a big question for you, and you have a determination around it, but you also have a depth and a willingness to just sink in and drop in and kind of, I don't know, that I'm not feeling a word, I'm feeling a sound come to me about it, just letting go, sinking down, going into the depths of something more ancient than you. That's what's coming through. Is this willingness to surrender, to let go, but also to be powerful in the force and strong in that. And it could even be that rhythm of like being willing with your whys to just drop deeply into something and let go deeply. And then when that inspiration comes, that ability to charge forward and really bring something to the world in kind of a strong maternal type of, like that elephant energy has a maternal thing to it. So this want to share that universal truth out of like really uniting, really caring, really knocking out all these false perceptions in the world, kind of, clearing a path of seeing universal truths and having some real power and oomph behind you to be able to do that. So that's a beautiful read. So really, I mean, feeling like a really powerful month for you guys for sure. Not necessarily easy, because that why and the madness that comes with why is hard to sit in sometimes, but when that inspiration comes, it's just, you're really powerful with it. So yeah. Okay, and then we're going to see which Priestess of Light wants to tell us something about guidance, downloads. Like I love this card for you guys because it's sort of tied to inspiration and guidance and that. So to me, it's sort of like when you are able to crack open and shed your the things constructed in mind and allow something in, what is that, coming? Sensuality, feminine wisdom, and passion, which I love because the elephant is that feminine wisdom too. So I think that's something that's really going to be able to be creative and inspired in you this month when you get that visit from the muse type of thing from inspiration. Is something about feminine wisdom, something about passion, something about the dark, wild, intuitive, instinctual, sensual, beautiful self. So really, really beautiful things coming through about that. I love this. Very interesting. Okay, we're going to look now more quickly than I typically do, more succinctly than I typically do, at the 4 anchor points of self-care, relationship, and sort of career energy. And then we will do some tarot. We'll spend a little more time then on tarot to dive deeper into some context around what's going on here. So anchor points for your month, like where is your drive, your motivation, your general energy? What's something to know about this month? Ooh, fear. I realize that I am testing my resolve to live in the energy of love. Beautiful. So yeah, I mean, I feel like we're going to find out a little bit more about that through the tarot. That's something maybe specifically I'll bring in the question with that. But yeah, some of your why questions, or the things that are driving you mad, could have to do with the nature of fear versus love, and where fear is coming up. Even, if you're someone who thinks a lot, and with that well energy, I do feel like you're someone who taps into maybe a lot of universal energy and thinks a lot about the collective and evolution and, stuff like that. Really concerned this month about sort of collective fear and collective misperceptions and collective truth kind of thing. And like, why is so much of that rooted in fear right now? Or what is the fear? There may be, that might be something that's really pushing on you and motivating you and driving you this month. That something about understanding the fear factor in life, whether it's personal or universal or both. Okay, so what do you need to know about self-care this month? How do you need to nurture and nourish yourself? Release. This feels so accurate for what we've already talked about. So this says, I choose to release the things that are no longer of service to me. As I release stagnant energy, I create room for life force to flow in and through me. My inner landscape was never meant to be cluttered, but to be an open space where love could fully bloom. I take time to create ceremony and honor what I'm now being called to let go of. And I think this plugs in so beautifully to things that have already been said around inviting that inspiration in and cracking open out of madness. Has to do with, that cracking away of the things that are no longer serving our well-being, these perceptions and boundaries and constructs that have kind of we're starting to outgrow. I think this is a month where you're really going to see with great perceptiveness especially certain biases and judgments and beliefs and logics that just are keeping you trapped and starting to create a madness in you, and really cracking out of them and opening up to the unexpected and the unknown and inspiration. So really nurture yourself by paying attention to what you're kind of pushing against, you're wanting to crack out of. It's a real release month, and a lot of those things internally that we do result in externally releasing things as well. So you may see some physical space purging of things as well. So really, that's something this is something in this month that will really foster some self-care in you. Okay, looking now at relationships. Oh, beautiful tenderness. The energy of tenderness activates our capacity to open our hearts and approach the world and each other with gentleness and care. And this centering in truth card, I do feel like has those whys come from a big place of more, in general. Of course, there can be personal whys, but a lot of this comes from these bigger existential whys around, big natured questions. And to really find that inspiration and then come out and be really influential with the inspiration and universal truths that come out of that inspiration, it takes us needing to really be tender to all sorts of variety of people, of humanity, of collective, of understanding that we've each developed our own judgments and biases and belief systems and whatnot out of our own, the own experiences we've had and our own inspirations we've had and our own we've all been under certain influences and grown up in different ways and had different experiences that have informed how we feel and think about things. And so when you come in with this, and I even think on that wide journey, that ability to shed certain, those preconceived things that we've constructed our world out of, I think you're even in the why, but especially in the inspiration phase, really coming in with a tenderness towards other people, especially if they're very different and have very different constructs and ways of thinking, and their madnesses that are very different than our own madnesses, or madnesses that come from the same question but are manifesting in opposite ways. There's so much polarity in the world, and I think this month you're realizing that we're all stuck in our own kind of construction of the world. and to get out of that and to really find those universal truths that really inspire everyone and can influence the most opposite perspective of your own, means being tender to them, means being recognizing that we're all just in a shell of madness of our own making, and trusting that when that inspiration and universal truth comes, it doesn't matter how tough that shell is going to be to crack. Everyone is touched by a universal truth. And so just recognizing, I think you're coming into this month and you're learning a lot about that, that even the toughest nut to crack, the toughest shell, the most opposite person from you, still has the potential to be influenced and touched by you when it's coming out of a place of inspiration. Okay, and then the last anchor point is sort of your position in the world, how you're aspiring, your authority, what you're reaching toward, kind of just general outer world orientation and place in it. Something to know about this, so change. So some of you may be going to get new education around something. Some people may be changing jobs. Some people may be changing their focus in general in terms of what maybe that inspiration that hits really reorients in terms of what you're wanting to do and be in the world, or at least build some kind of expertise or mastery in. And this card in general, it feels good to me. It feels like a breath of fresh air. It feels joyful. It feels happy. And it feels inspired. So I do really think inspiration hitting is going to have something to do with a change coming for you in what you're doing in the world. And it could be to really understand how to get to this place of inspiration and use that more in the world in a more public way, potentially. Wow, really interesting reading, you guys. Okay, we are going to jump over to some tarot to get more context about this inspiration, maybe about playing off of that fear versus love card. What kind of fear is maybe driving the why, and what kind of love do you find through inspiration? How are you finding that energy of inspiration, kind of dissolving that boundary of fear and love? And yeah, anyway, let's just see. Kind of just want to be open and see what the tarot brings forward about this. 8 of Air, yeah, feels accurate. 5 of Air feels accurate. Yeah, so some tensions in you this month for sure. Oh, beautiful. King of Fire. I love seeing that. Oops. Tower. Makes sense. And 9 of Waters. Beautiful. And okay, yeah, this all makes sense to me for sure. Maybe not easy, but it makes sense. And I do have to say that, November, we're going through a Scorpio most of the month, which is a very intense sign and does have us looking below the surface, asking deep questions, but it's also in the eclipse portal where there's a lot of shakeups and a lot of reorientation taking place. So yeah, there's, and your reading, I think, is really hitting on all of these themes. So yeah, there's something, I think, coming into the month where there is a big question, there is a big why, or a big desire or vision within you that's like locked away. You don't know how to put it out in the world. It feels trapped, and you feel trapped by your own ideas, and you feel trapped by societal ideas, and trapped, there's something in you that's just ready to break free. But you start this month and you're trapped. I think it's by both, by your own perceptions and by, the world at large and what it finds, what's its demands of you, expectations of you, and what it deems, noteworthy or interesting. What it wants from you is like, maybe you feel confined by, and there's something else you want to put out, and it's just like, something about it is just trapped, and how can I break out of this pattern type of thing. And then there's also this thing in you. So there's all these tensions in you at the beginning of the month. The other tension, there's that tension of just needing to break out of your own mold and the mold that you've been put in, and societal molds, and just, there is sort of a vision in you, but it's kind of abstract at the moment. You just don't know how to break out, So there's this cage feeling. And then the other tension coming through is sort of this thing of, sometimes in those why questions, there's like a debate, and like, whose truth is the truth. And there's something coming through here, a tension in you that's maturing, that's really starting to see that sometimes, even if your truth is a little more true than another person's truth, ultimately neither of the truths are great, and that tension they have with each other is just producing more strife than anything. And by being right actually creates a worse situation, and more polarization, and more damage. And it's sort of like you're rising up out of that cycle of having to be right, having to have your truth be more true, universally true, but it's not quite fully universally true. It's just a little more true than a different truth, And it's just like you're seeing how that cycle is just creating more and more destruction, and greater polarization, and you're kind of rising out of it. And I am seeing, I do love this tarot deck. I think it's called the Good Tarot, and it sort of tries to see the positive influence of each card. So just like looking at the images of these, I do see you elevating. I do see you doing the work of cracking open, of starting to observe and witness yourself more from your heart than from this super intellectual place of just rising up and observing and saying, something's not working. These patterns, there's certain patterns, both in my personal life and in the way society's working and how I'm engaging with certain things in society. It's just not feeling right, and I don't know the truth of it. And I think with that fear card that came up, is there's a fear in you, and I think you're kind of like, almost for some of you, like ejecting from your bodies, and just like, what is going on, and just trying to see from a different vantage point and from a higher place of like, what's a better way to do this? What's a better way to be, a better way to approach things? And that's where I think your heart really starts to open, where you kind of get out of mind and the tensions that mind creates, and really step into your heart. And it's like you feel something really profound and true and authoritative there, but it still takes, with the Tower card, something about allowing aspects of yourself, aspects of your shells, your perceptions, your judgments, your biases, which I've already talked about, or literally about your life, to break open. And I had already talked about with this card, with the centering in truth, and moving from madness to inspiration, we kind of have to crack open. And I think here that rising up and looking from different vantage points and connecting to your heart that then expands, you just, the tower thing that happens here, which is sort of the tower falling apart, and sometimes in a card you see lightning hitting it, so something from the outside that rocks your world. But sometimes tower cards are more about an inner energy that this construct can no longer hold. So your own energy from inside shatters this tower. And that's what I'm feeling. It's hard to see in this card, but there's some light coming out of the doors and the windows here. And that's where I'm feeling it's like this intense energy from within you cracks open and releases, and it really shatters certain constructs around you, which can feel very destabilizing, I'm not gonna lie. And that transition from madness to inspiration can be very scary and a kind of fragile place to be, but it's what's happening and what needs to happen for you to really come into your heart and really open to those the visitation of the muse and of inspiration and of universal truth, where you can then completely come into this just seductive siren, talk about muse energy with the Nine of Waters, just this absolute inspired place of being able to compose, letting energy channel through you, letting these universal truths just come, not from deducing and figuring out anything, but from opening and breaking open. And suddenly, it's like this muse energy just, you start to embody it, you start to be it, and it really has the potential by the end of the month for you to have some kind of, the Nine of Waters does talk about wish fulfillment, and here I'm seeing that, an immense amount of treasure, material treasure, which isn't always what comes up on a Nine of Water or Nine of Cups card, but there's some gems, some really, really beautiful gems that you're going to be able to put out into the world compositionally, creatively, that are going to produce a lot of value for you, real physical material value. I don't think that's what you've set out to do, but it's what happens. And it's a gift for what you give to the world, it's so stick with some maybe some intense discomfort this month, because once you get on the other side of kind of cracking something open and living through a little bit of madness, it's just like you get it. You get things on a universal level, and you really are able to touch people and put something profound out into the world. And I mean profound with that elephant card. And definitely some, again, I don't want to forget that feminine wisdom thing, that sensuality, something very, I love the tiger on here, something fierce. The tiger is a night cat, so something fierce, something dark and rich and beautiful and sensual and passionate, and really cool. So, wow, profound month for you guys. That was a lot. Really good luck. Stick with it. Stick with the pressure. Stick with the things that are driving you a little crazy, a little insane, a little mad, whatever word you want to use for that for you. It's a lot there. I feel so much tension going into this month. By the end of the month, it's like the work you've done is like you're not going to recognize something about you or your life or your understanding of life. I don't know, something huge transition coming. So yeah, happy November. Good luck on this journey, and good luck with the eclipse season we're coming into. And yeah, wish you the best on this. If this resonated, I always super appreciate the thumbs up, the comments, the subscriptions, all of it. And I hope to see you in another reading. All right. Hello, Pile 4, and welcome to your November reading. If this is you guys, you picked Hexagram 31, Mutual Attraction, Lake Above, Mountain Below. So in this reading, this card is meant to represent, if you were to look back on November, once you had moved through the whole month, what would be a main sort of thread, the main thread moving throughout the month that was sort of influencing your environment, the types of circumstances, events that were orbiting your world. And this card is very, very interesting. I have to say every pile's card has been super interesting. It's, I think, November being Scorpio, which is an intense sign, and the eclipse portal that we start out the month with, I think, is just in the air. But no different for you guys. A very interesting, intense kind of energy coming through here. So with this mutual attraction, what's going on with this card, what it's talking about, is there's kind of this reversal in yin and yang energy taking place, where that yang energy that's sort of more in the realm of liking to persuade and use language to kind of lead and control things and assert things, is needing to kind of take a back seat and being more deferring to the feminine energy, which is a little bit more humble and supportive. And so that feminine energy is then needing to step up and take more of a strong leading role. And, it's not necessarily comfortable on either side of those things, but the result is a lot of very good fortune. And so there's sort of tying in this astrological system that also uses these hexagrams. I was thinking about using it, and I was looking it up before I started the readings with the cards I picked, and it felt like such beautiful layers it added in that I decided to bring it in. And so and it's called the Gene Keys for anyone interested. This, the way that this looked at this hexagram goes into like, where's the shadow aspect, where's the gift of it, and then where's the more divine aspect of it that is really, only a handful of us really experience that of an energy, but we have the potential to, and you guys have the potential to in this card for this month. But looking at the shadow of this card is where that yang energy has a hard time letting go of kind of the leading role. It creates some arrogance. And so that's one way to see if you're in the shadow of this month and how to kind of tweak that. And this is an energy of really kind of getting trapped by intellect and thinking that through our words we can, and through language and intellect, we can manipulate people into leading us and really understanding that it is the use of words and language that people look to find someone to, we're all programmed to, humanity in general is programmed to want leaders, and this yang energy understands that language and words are the things that can be used to manipulate to gain that leadership position. But so often it comes through this place of a little bit of fear and knowing how to manipulate fear and get personal gain off of that. And so this is a good place to know if you're trapped in some shadow with this energy and circumstances. Are you using words to mask things, to manipulate things? Do you feel like they're being used on you in that way? And then moving more into the gift area is where that masculine then kind of cedes to the feminine and allows it to step up into the leadership role, and still feeling like it has a voice and it has that open door policy to give insight, to give thoughts around things, but deferring to that feminine energy that's a little bit more about a vibrational leadership rather than using words and language to gain leadership. It's more about feeling things and connecting to more of like a meaning rather than a word kind of thing, like understanding that words are really just a map that we've created to understand the world at large, but that in themselves don't actually always mean what they're meant to mean. I hope that makes sense. But it does create this leadership dynamic that kind of, just looking generally to this card that has this attractive relationship. And then stepping into this more divine aspect, the highest potential of this card is where that humility recognizes, stops needing almost, because I think in that leadership position where there's still, it's not quite shadow, but it's still not at its highest expression, is this maybe needing of feedback from, so even though the yang has kind of taken the back seat, it's still a little bit of a backseat driver and constant input, and the yin still being like so humble in taking that constant input. But then going into that gift level, it's a step higher in frequency, where that yang can step back and see that the way that the yin is working in its humility is above language, and it's above words, and it's above intellect, and as a frequency thing, and that words at this level don't actually mean anything, and this knowing that whatever is said is what's supposed to be said, and a trust in that. And so it's sort of this like oracle feel. And it's something I can relate to when I'm doing card readings. I can feel when I'm really channeling and really pulling in that inspiration, because I don't have these things where I feel like I have to go back and really explain what I said and use words to try and make something more clear. It's sort of this knowing that whatever comes through, was a frequency. It wasn't about the words. And especially in like a collective reading where maybe 100 people choose the same pile, they're all going to find the meaning in completely different ways. They're going to interpret those words based on what they need to hear and their experiences at the moment. And so whatever was said was a frequency thing. And so the words themselves don't so much matter as making sure that that frequency feels like it's coming from a very loving place, a place of wanting to lead in a way that's going to uplift not myself, but everyone else, you know? And so it's, yeah, when there's a frequency thing that's very elevated and very pure, there's an oracle element to it where what's said is hit based on how it is intaken by that entity, not on the actual words. It's beyond sort of a meaning. It becomes very, yeah, kind of divine and personal, and it's interesting. So I feel like this is a journey you'll go on this month of really trying to understand and being confronted with how arrogance presents itself versus humility versus this place of frequency that's beyond words and language and intellect. And really going through some beautiful challenges that really help you to understand where there are trappings, and how to get past those trappings to really create that attractive energy that's instilled with some good fortune, because it's about a frequency. Okay, so we have an animal card as well, and this one is about where you're coming from, what your energy is. So maybe how you might work with this environment stuff, the circumstances coming into your life. So you've got moth. So this is an interesting one. I feel like, you're kind of in this energy of flitting from thing to thing and not fully committing to a lot of not staying on one thing for very long, not going intensely to any one thing. You're kind of following the different flickers that grab your attention, and there's a whimsy around this. And so there's a lighthearted approach here, which I think will make it easy for you to just drop into your heart and follow the feel of this. So I feel like you're already in much more of a feminine presence, kind of past that arrogance point, which is nice to, see that come through. But yeah, like really feeling how whimsy, how intuition, how being guided by reflection has its place in leadership. I think that's maybe an interesting thing to think about, how your lightness, how your intuitive style, you're deeply into that this month. You're in that energy. So how is that something you can accept as being worthy of leadership, of being worthy of taking a front seat, of being worthy of being respected and being something that people are interested in following? And how is that an attractor? How is that attractive and draw things? How does that draw things to you and bring things together in the world beyond your own needs? Yeah, really interesting. Okay, and then we have a Priestess of Light to see how or what kind of divine energy wants to come in to sort of protect and guide you. Balance. I love this. Balance stability, and standing firm. So we see this interplay between yin and yang here, and how they kind of need to change places this month in your life, as you know, that softer energy being firm and the more firm energy as being more gentle, and finding balance within that, finding how does that tip your life in ways that are uncomfortable, and then how do you find balance within that. And I think there's a lot of beautiful divine energy kind of guiding and protecting you in understanding that this month. Okay, we're going to look really quickly at the 4 anchor points of this month for you, and then we will dive into some tarot to kind of tease out more context around all of this. So what do you need to know about where your motivation and drive and energy level is coming from this month? There's something you need to know about it. So this says blame. I accept responsibility for my well-being. And I think that's interesting that this paired with that feminine taking the lead. I think that darker yin energy, when we're not working in it well, can really get into these patterns of feeling at the mercy of life, and like they have no control, like there's no control to be had, and like a little bit weak. And so I think this is a beautiful thing that's really going to drive you this month, of like, no, how can that yin, it is a very strong energy when you know how to work it and what it actually is. And so how do I find the strength in that? Through taking responsibility for my own life. And sometimes that's, you know, even if there's plenty of finger pointing to be had, or, you know, this happened to me and it wasn't my fault type of thing, and just feeling weakened by that, the yin and the strong can say, well, you know what, this has happened. Maybe it's not something that was out of any doing of my own, but it's what's on my path now. And so that I have to take responsibility for what my path is. This is my life, and I want to be responsible for my life. And so this thing that maybe is unfair, it's here. So I'm going to deal with it. This is now my responsibility because it's what has come, kind of thing. And that's that strong yin. It's responding to life rather than reacting and receding from it, type of thing. Okay, what kind of self-care do you guys need this month? Nurturing and stuff. Ritual. So ritual is creating a sacred experience to honor my journey. In ritual, I usher in a new season while celebrating the path I have forged. Has there been a breakthrough moment in my life that I can honor and create ritual for? Today, I will bless the experiences that have shaped me with a physical practice. Try declaring an intention as you'd enjoy a flower petal bath. So that's really beautiful and anchoring, and I think a very felt and present expression of yin is making something sacred in your life by doing it routinely. So what's something that comes up for you that you want to honor about who you are, about your life, that you can create a physical practice around to do every day this month to really make it sacred, and just create an energy around something you really cherish and want to honor in yourself, in your life. Physical practice, a physical ritual. And make sure it's something that feels nourishing and nurturing, and like it's self-care, you know. So it's something that's really going to ground you and stabilize you for sure. Okay, relationships. You've got freedom. The energy of freedom supports our sense of limitless possibility and potential, boundless expression, and bold exploration. And I really like this. And when I look at the moth, and when I look at this woman, the priestess in her balanced position, there is something coming through with both of them. There's like these arms up type of thing. whether it's the wings or her arms literally up, and then the freedom, you kind of feel that same thing with these things coming out. There's something in terms of how you're relating, and this really connects to this mutual attraction energy and card is, I think there's something about your feminine side that's really wanting to feel that freedom, to feel strong, to take the lead, to explore its potential, and especially in how you're relating with others, you know? So yeah, allow that feminine side of you to really feel strong and powerful and able to be present in your relationships this month. There's something really profound about that. Okay, the last one of these anchors is about your place in the world this month, how you're aspiring, what authority you're kind of building or mastery, general place in the world, career. And then, so you've got flexibility here. And I love that because that mutual, it really does tie into that mutual attraction theme of like where things are kind of switching places. And so there's that flexibility coming in, and something about what you're doing in the world as well, of needing to allow different orientations of things to have their place, to test their potentials, have some leeway in how you're building yourself and what kind of authority you're either bowing to or exerting. Play with the way this is taken in your life, exerted in your life, listened to in your life. Just try and see things from a different way, I feel like is what's coming through. And I love that the tiger is on here too, because that's a very feminine, it's a lunar type of animal, nocturnal animal. So there's something about, and I think that flexibility, allowing again that feminine side to test its strength and test how humility and vibration are the things that can hold command versus words and intellect. Okay, moving on to some tarot. Let's just draw some cards to get a little extra context about the month and the stuff we've talked about up here. A little more depth about what's going on with this. A beautiful Nine of Earth. Hermit. These are very Virgoan cards. This is a lot of, let me pull the rest before I get into it. Ace of Earth. Wow, okay. 10 of Air, which is a lunar card too, in a way. And one more. Here we go. Whoops. Wheel of Fortune. Beautiful. So big, beautiful change coming too. Okay, so what I'm feeling here, what's going on with this reversal and testing out how to use the feminine as the strength and the masculine as the support. Is there something about this in terms of really coming into your instinct and coming into a certain self-sufficiency where you trust yourself, where you trust those. And I also love that ritual came up because I feel like ritual is a very Virgoan type of thing. How do you create processes and daily rhythms and balance in all the things you do throughout your day-to-day and your work processes, your home processes? And through doing those rhythmically and routinely and with ritual, you create kind of this sacredness, which creates an instinct in you that's very personal and very distinct and very honed and very whole, and has a self-sufficiency and a sovereignty that's produced, and sort of this, this ownership of your own energy and an indispensability to others because you've created something that's distinctly yours. And so I feel like Virgo being this yin energy too, that's the thing that's wanting to step forward. What is it that you've really developed a personal instinct around and a personal system around that's all your own, but that is very sacred because of that routine and practice you've put into it? How can you put that into the world in a very strong way and show it and put it up as a leadership potential? There is absolutely financial benefit to come from this. There is power in your material worth by doing this. So I think it's something that maybe right now, as you enter this month with the moth, that you haven't taken as seriously as you should and recognized it as a force that it is. And so it's really this is really urging you to take this more seriously and to really maybe that ritual, that self-care you do is something to do with respecting the power that you hold in that instinct, in that feminine, holistic way of connecting to life. And then we've got 2 Sagittarian type cards. So 10 of Air is a Sagittarian card with a moon influence. And then this is overall a Sagittarian card. And so big doors have the potential to open to you. And the way I want to read, sometimes the 10 of Air or the 10 of, sometimes they do like air instead of swords, or, so sometimes I mix this up. 10 of Air is actually a Gemini card. But I'm still wanting to read it very similarly to what I felt before, is that, you're right at this point of hitting the wall in terms of, this definitely connects into this mutual attraction. I think you've hit the wall in terms of buying in to the way people use language to persuade and gain your support and your interest. I think words and intellect and language, you've come to this wall with it, and you're recognizing that it only has so much power over you anymore. You've really, really gained a big understanding of frequency versus the realm of intellect, intellectual prowess. You're really getting it. You're really stepping into this thing of like, I am so tired of language. I'm so tired of words. I'm so tired of being persuaded through ideas. My heart feels there's frequencies that I just know. It's even beyond the heart. It's just this energy, this vibration. You're just like, I feel the frequency behind things, and those words no longer have a power of meaning over me. I'm just feeling what's behind them. What's that frequency behind these words? And you're using that too. You're experimenting with how you use words and language and playing with that notion of, I'm going to tap into a frequency and just let words come out and see how they're responded to. Are people responding to the frequency or what I've said? And kind of just playing with that and leaning into that edge of frequency. Yeah. And there's something about this that's really going to move your life, create some changes in your life that I think you've really been looking for, and push you into sort of like a new phase, a new cycle of things, and definitely feeling your power, feeling your ability to lead, and feeling some respect and strength. You're going to move from the moth into like another flying thing, like a dragon or something, where it's like you've taken your yin type of powers with such a grain of salt and such a kind of like there's a flight of fancy in it that's fun, but it's not serious in the world. And something about that shifting where you're like, oh, my feminine side, this aspect of me that's intuitive, that's rhythmic, that's instinctual, is just deserves so much more respect than the way the yang in me or the yang in my life. Yeah, it's just time for that switch. It's time for the yin to take over and feel its command and test its leadership and see how strong and amazing it is. And it's really changing the phase of life you're going into. So this is where I'm going to leave you, pile 4. Wow, what a November. I think a real reversal is coming in, a real understanding of a certain power in you that you have not taken seriously. And really getting it, really clicking with something and testing it and being shocked by what you see, what you feel, and understanding strength and power and leadership in a very, very different way, both in how you accept it from the world and how you put it out from yourself. So really interesting, really beautiful. I wish you luck this November, this intense Scorpio season, moving into Sag season, and in the eclipse portal. So, I think every single pile was pretty profound and intense and amazing messages coming through, and exactly what yours was. So yeah, good luck with this. If this resonated, I appreciate all the things, the thumbs up, comments, subscribe, and yeah, I will leave you here, and I hope to see you in another reading.